In my last video of recreating Murray's costume manner from Secret of the Mimic in Minecraft, we finished off the main 2 floors of the MCM by building the big top and storytime showroom. Now in today's video we're going to build our first basement of the series, being Nurse Dollies Healing Hospital. So let's go into it and see what we need to know. So here we are in the doll hospital, and this is the boss fight or chase sections. And the amount of times this game has crashed during the doll hospital building area, I'm just not going to risk it by trying to teleport my way back up into the main hospital. So starting with this little vacuum thing, vat with lava with Dolly in it, she would burst out about here. We'd go down here into this chase area where the chase starts, with these conveyor belts that are moving in the opposite direction, where like these orange canisters of something is coming through this thing. I don't get what that is. But then Dolly would burst through here, and we'd not come down this one yet because this would lead to the end of the chase. We would be coming down here, and then it would break off like this, and we jump down onto this catwalk. We would run around, and this catwalk would break, and we would fall back down onto this, which then we would go into this vent. We'll turn on the generator, which turns on the fan to let us pass through before Dolly would appear, and we would have to get past her back into the elevator area, like over there. And I think we should try it out. So let's just toggle my debug camera. So I'm here. There we go. Let's go back down, and we can be just waiting for the boss. I am facing the wrong way. I'm used to the Jackie chase a lot. I don't remember if I have the audio on. Let me just check really quickly. Yeah, I do. Peak music. Alright, there's Dolly bursting out of the lava. Oh, this song was so peak when I first played it. However, it was blasting loud, so my eardrums got incinerated. Hi, Dolly, and I have to quickly run or you will kill me almost instantly. So we just gotta run down here. We would go up the staircase, run down here. Please move out of our way, canister. We would then keep going, and like I said, we would jump off at this break-off segment. Now, I don't think Dolly is chasing me. Where does she go, actually? Does she just despawn? Like, I know she goes in that middle section, but does she come back out anywhere? Well, let's go just back up in the catwalk. We will go up here, and the chase. Where does Dolly... No, she doesn't appear through there. Yes, she appears at the end of this hall. There she is. We would crouch down, and the Dolly is gone. No more Dolly. We'll go into this little vent room, which has the wall texture that I changed. Then I'm gonna have to change a lot. That's gonna be so annoying. Now we're back in this room. I hate the grey. Why is there so much grey? Here's a fake vent, if you didn't know. Fake vent. Now this door, it doesn't have anything on the other side, but I have a suspicion that it connects up to this. Like, I just imagine there's like a little hallway. It'll have like a staircase. I'll go back down here and connects here. That would be cool, but it doesn't show us in the game. So time to activate the generator. My mouse is getting stuck on my mouse pad. There we go. Moving. I don't know if this van... There's Dolly. Scripted event. Where's she gonna pass by? Where is she? Where is she? Bonk. Where did she go? Did she despawn? She shouldn't despawn, should she? Or did she go back in here? No, she just despawned. Okay then, she has despawned. Unless I'm just blind, which I probably am. Or is it just like a scripted event where she respawns when you get to a certain point again? That seems to be the case. Hi, Dolly. Molten Dolly. Peak character, honestly. How long does it take for you... How long does you take to move? I don't actually know. Alright, yeah, there you go. I really like the steel thing, like how it's lava and it cools down quickly and then sadly unloads. Hello, Dolly, what are you doing in this area? With these physical chains with physics. Still adding physics to their game. No shock therapy. Can Dolly actually hear me if I unsprint? I don't know why those chains are still waving. Hi, Dolly. Make sure not to knock these chains or I will die. What is she checking the window? Is she checking the window? During my first playthrough, I just sprinted through this section and died. And then just crouched my way through it. But is she checking the windows? Or is she just like roaming? Is she? Do we have to sneak past her? I don't actually remember. I've never done this part more than once. Alright, so now that I have the doll hospital all built up, well, at least the main hospital part before you enter, like, the main area, I want to talk about it. The main area, this was pretty simple. It was just filled with a bunch of shelves and carts with stuff inside them. Like, I don't know, like, just boxes, containers, I would say, and some carts. The roof decorations were pretty weird, and the colors changed a lot, from dark blue to red, then to green. I like the green room the best, the one with the elevator in it, as the green floor is just so cool, especially with the grate in the floor that looks into a small room. Only downside, there's not anything much useful down there. What I love about, like, builds is when there's another build connected to it. So, like, you could look through a window and below you the other floor, like in the prize counter and security breach. Or someone like in Secret of the Mimic, how in this very room the cart ride also connects to the house ending with the I don't know what ending you would call that, but when the place burns down, you like go on that track and it actually connects to the doll hospital, and I just love those story things. Now there's lots of grey, and I don't like it when it gives me lots of grey, because then I have to get like a bunch of different blocks, because I don't like using one version of a block. And like, so then you just have to find a bunch of different light, dark, grey blocks, and it's just so annoying to find a bunch of different blocks, then get it to look good without overusing the block vomit. Now, I do like this cart room with the track and dolly, and I just think it turned out really well, as it's got lots of different colours of brown, the grey, then the colourfulness. It just turned out so well. So did this sort of area that I really love the main doll hospital, because it just gives me FNAF 3 vibes with all of the like copper that was used. Obviously it's not copper in the game, but it's like the same pattern as FNAF 3, where it's like greenish, very greenish tiles on the walls and there's the floor, and it just reminds me so much of FNAF 3, and that's probably why this is the area I've wanted to build in MCM ever since I played it. It was just such a good section, the gameplay as well as the environment, because there was just so many windows and doors, interconnecting areas, which I love so much. The little grate on the floor, and then just like the color, like the chains on the roof, so you have to crouch, so you can't actually be found by Dolly to stop distractions. It's just so fun. And there was lots of trash bags everywhere, cyan ones, which I appreciate Steelwall didn't make them black, and they made them cyan, because it means they're more colourful and not just so plain and boring. There are lots of pipes, chains, and grey things hanging on the ceiling. I don't know exactly what you would call them. And there was also a lot of power servos, like I think that's what you would call them, like power boxes, that was in this episode that I built, and it was just so good. And I think the thing that I used to build a lot were the mouse traps, and I only think I built 1 or 2 in today's episode. This little machine right here is a very weird shape in the game, and I didn't have a lot of space for it, so I had to make do with what I had. I also used player heads where I had to, so I really like the ones that I have and have found. There was also the hanging mascots on the ceiling. As you can see, there's like, I think that was a tiger or a lion. Yeah, lion, don't know why I said tiger. And they were just hanging on the ceiling, and it just gives you the environment, or like the feeling that if you're in a hospital, except you wouldn't have patients hanging on the ceiling, would you? In a real hospital. But like, it just means like Dolly's actually working on something instead of just being there. And the chains and the mascot suits do block a lot of spaces in the doll hospital. There were also a lot of like exposed pipes and wires and blueprints hanging on the wall, which, don't worry, I read every blueprint, not much interesting to them, but if the text was even real. There was like 3 little curtain rooms where you could hide inside the curtains. Like, I think there was actually 2. Don't know why you add them if there's only 2, but sure. And the switch up in the main entrance to like the main hall in the doll hospital with the grate, it's like 2 blocks of copper, then like 2 blocks of mushroom. But then in all of the other back hallways and rooms, it's 3 mushroom and 1 block of copper. It's kind of switched around there. Don't know why. I think it's just to give it more of a pattern. But I did keep forgetting this, and the amount of times the game crashed during this building the doll hospital is absolutely insane. You might see me stop for like seconds at a time, and that's because the game crashed and I had to reopen it. There's countless occasions where the game crashed and I had to reopen it, and this is worse than the theater. Like, the theater crashed once, and then the rest of it was just really laggy. So I could do it, but it was hard to get the details because of how laggy it was. But with the doll hospital, it was perfectly fine. It just kept crashing for no reason whatsoever. Why still? Well, why? But yeah, talking about the build, the chains on the ceiling hanging with all the mascot costumes I spoke about before were just so fun. And it just has to be the best. I just love this location in MCM, and Dolly is one of my favorite characters in the Mimic, as well as Jackie. And the doll hospital is just the best environment. I've only played the chase 3 times though. After this the first one you saw in the previous recording, that was my 2nd time. I don't know why. I just didn't get back to the doll hospital. When I did a playthrough, I would just stop at Big Top because I had most of the permissions I needed to do stuff. There were these little closets, and one of them I forgot to outline. So then I paused the recording to outline it, then forgot to unpause the recording when I started building. So it just appears. You should be able to see it now. It's that little doorway right there, and it just appears out of existence like everything else, because it took me quite a while to realize that I was paused the recording. That happened in the retail showroom as well. You might be able to see it. There are a lot of vents in the doll hospital as well. Lots of mailbox and lots of vents that just lead to interconnected areas, which I just find so cool. With just all the vents that connects to other areas, they're just unbelievably cool. Now the roof, they weren't all that much interesting in these back halls, just some lights and then some grey andesite type things. But like in that main area that you enter with the grate on the floor that leads down to the conveyor room, that had some pretty cool ceiling decorations where it had a bunch of chains and then like the mascot parts and suits hanging on top of it, and then all of the chains and stuff. It was just so cool. I also forgot to mention in a previous room that I used blocks on the shelves instead of just making them shelves like Cup of Tea EXE did for his doll hospital, just because I think adding some form of the mascot suits is better than just adding shelves, because then it looks empty. Because when I do it for like small items like boxes in the shelves, it doesn't really matter because you can't really tell the difference. But when it's something as big as the mascot suits, heads and parts, I think that is a problem. Now this big thing on the ceiling right above the grate was really cool because it had the lighting, like a bunch of exposed wires on it as well. It was just so cool. Doll Hospital, one of my favorite areas in Secret of the Mimic. So now with all of the areas besides the sections for the dolly chase, we have a mostly completed doll hospital where you can flick this lever. It would open and close this in-game, but I have not added any command blocks for that yet. Posters on the wall, cart rides everywhere, with these boxes and shelves, which I quite like how they turned out. This red room with the green floor, which I mentioned in the time-lapse, with the grate that has this small little area. And I have not built the elevator shaft because it's connected to the chase, and I plan to do it in that time-lapse, which I will not be doing a time-lapse for the chase, most of the chase segments, because they're so messy, and I struggle with that. I turned the water as a swamp water to make it more green like it is in game instead of the bright blue that Minecraft has. We can follow the track and we have the pixel art on the wall, and then we go back down into this catwalk where we would see Dolly, and we have this door. Now this little area completes the track like I talked about in the time-lapse that leads to the ending, where you would go here in the cart ride, and it would connect up to the retail showroom area in the ending, and you can see how it roughly connects. We'll go about here, and then we'll go back up to that door over there. So we can build that in the R&D episode. We can go and see all these pipes with the water, which there should be concrete powder in there, but of course water does turn concrete powder into concrete, which is annoying. Now here's the view where you would see Dolly, which I do plan to add a model later on, but right now it's just the build. So we'll go through this door, and I have changed the door a bit to this instead because the doll hospital just has so much of that copper block that I use, so I had to change it up or else it would look like the wall. So sadly, I did change the design. Here is where you would wake up. In here, Nurse Dolly would come on the railing, and we would go down here, and she would open this door back onto the railing, and she would become electrified and start chasing the player and kill them. Isn't that kind? We'll enter through this door, which right here is back on the catwalk, out here, and then the railing actually follows the entire area, and we can just walk. Wow, I also used this light blue glazed terracotta block. I don't usually use it because it had the white and light blue on the floor as the floor. Down here we have more railings and more trash bags, lots of them. We also have like these little areas where we could hide from Dolly in case, like, I don't know, she like gets close to us in the game. We also have these windows that we can see through just to locate Dolly a bit easier. These wheelchairs that fit well for a hospital, and then this route we'll be able to interact with, and it would open up the vent all the way over there, and the door is already open at this point, but you would see you go over here, crouch down into this room, and as you can see, this would be the door, and there's a bunch of digitypers everywhere dead. And that would be the gear, but I haven't really coded anything like I mentioned before. We'd crash back down into this vent, make our way back over there without encountering Dolly. Then we would open the door, and it would lead into this doll hospital, where Dolly would then come in. Yeah, so this is the doll hospital, which is absolutely amazing. I just love it. The ceiling, the walls, everything, the decorations, they're just so good. Yeah, like the mailbox and all of like the hanging. It's just so good. Now, we could go down here. This is where Dolly would spawn. There's a little trash can, little trash thing on the table right there. Another one of those windows I talked about in the time-lapse that are just there. A door that Dolly would be able to get through where it's a missing sign because of the trap door. You would be able to flick that. Damn you. Or you'll be able to flick that, and then you could, like, put in the trash. Go down here, sit on this little seat right here, and look at all of the, look at me. The seat. Would look at all these like paintings. I use Darko signs for like little stripe on the wall instead of a full block. In here we have some lockers and some hanging seals. We then had a vent which leads into the upgrade station that you would get to actually continue on with the game. So you would be able to get this upgrade station, go through here, and then you would have more trash bins and a little hiding spot right there that you could hide from Dolly if she ever got close to you. Just little hidey hole like that I use banners for, which I could technically do this so you could hide, but I just don't like how it looks. There's no enemy anyways, not yet at least. We could go down here, little walkway, and then you'll be able to go down here, more chains, and there's hanging mascot suits, and then a vent where you can be able to crouch, and then you would make your way into the hallway where we just were. So if this vent wasn't so slow, we would be able to get through, and as you can see, we're back in this hallway. I say as you can see way too much. We would then go back down here. I'm just not going through all this, because we're just going to visit the other side. So we would then be able to go through here. Dolly would spawn, we could grab this mailbox. Dolly would spawn on the other side. A locker right there to hide from her, and this is what I meant by I have like a wire on the floor. This is what I meant. This is the room with all like the mascots that I use blocks for, and this doorway connects right out there. Yeah, so yeah, then this vent doesn't exist yet because it's once again, in my opinion, part of the chase segment. So here are all of the outlines for that. Like I said, there's not going to be a time lapse for a majority of all of this because it's just going to be way too messy, and messy is just not good for time lapses. So there will be time lapses on some unmessy rooms. I wish I wasn't so bad at messy, but we have this little small room where once again I haven't outlined. Now onto the chase areas. I'm not going to speak through this. It's just going to be this small room right here because it was the one that had the most time-lapse potential. The rest was just so messy. So I'm not going to talk much through it because, I don't have anything to say. The only thing that I do have to say is that these little, like, containers that are dispensing stuff onto the conveyor belt, I did notice in the game a technician's arm, a worker's arm is in there. So, don't know if anyone else noticed that, but at least another employee made it to the doll hospital. One looks like another employee was almost as good as Arnold, but died in the chase. Imagine sucking that bad, And with that, we now have the entire first basement and the doll hospital all fully built and completed. And I am so happy with the final result. I didn't do time-lapse of those 2 rooms because, like I said, way messy. As you can see, look at how messy this room is with everything inside of it. It's just so messy. I just don't think a time-lapse would be fitting for it with all these pipes and everything. We can go through here, and we'll be in the only room that did have a time-lapse, which, as you can see, is still pretty messy. We can go down here into this little chase part, and look at, I just don't know if I'm happy. This room just looks very messy in my opinion. You know what, there is way too much tough, no, not tough, deep slate. So I'm just going to replace this into tough, just so there isn't so much bloody deep slate. Honestly, Evan, what are you thinking? Adding so much bloody deep slate. Now the floor is black concrete, like a lot of other areas in the doll hospital, because for some reason Steel were too lazy to add a floor, and so am I. Here are vats of like lava that you would fall into if you didn't correctly jump off at this point. I didn't do that because I'm big brain, definitely. So going in here, as you can see, this little conveyor room, you'll be able to flip all these levers, and then you would be able to click this button, and Dolly would fall back in. I'm not sure if I'm happy with what this door is made out of, and I can't find. I'll change it later. Going back over here, we have this little area where it could have just been black concrete, but I added more because realism, guys, realism. Going up here leads to the main doll hospital, of course. You go back down. Right here is, you may notice these command blocks in the last time lapse, and that's because Dolly. Yes, I've added Dolly model. Absolute cinema. Oh, it's just so cool. I've added it with all armor stands with a name tag. Dolly with the pressure plate as well. I used the pressure plate to represent her little base, so she can only be attached to the railing. She's in her position where she says, "Hello, Nurse Dolly." Very funny joke, Dolly. And, oh, the design is just so cool. And I'm quite happy how this arm stand model turned out. And I just love it. Just love Dolly's armor stand model. And this actually means we have now gotten all of the models for all 3 of, like, the main characters. If you don't include the Mimic as the main character. Jackie, Big Top, Dolly. Those are the 3 characters of Secret of the Mimic with their, like, big chases. And they're all done now. Yay! Tiger Rock. Now back into this room. Yes, Steel added windows into an underground area. Why Steel? You're so stupid, Still with no brains, honestly. Going back down here, here's an elevator. You go back down here, and I've added hole where Dolly would come out. You shape the stairs, and this is what the inside looks like. Very empty, no lava. I won't add it because there's no point. Back into this room, monster spawners, and we can actually do the chase, which I'm gonna do. So as you can see, this is what the chase would be. We would go down here, Dolly would be chasing us, and we would go all the way down here and fall off like that, kaplonk. Now we would then go up this catwalk. Why are there so many catwalks that is broken in MCM? Explain. We would then go down here. Dolly would appear at the end, smashing down, so we would have to go in here, crouch, and then the thing would close up and Dolly gone. No Dolly. No Dolly. Then we would go back into this room, which I knew I would not be happy with the wall texture, but who cares, I'm not changing it. Too bad, so sad. Go into this room, where once again, oh my god, I didn't add a lever, oh my god, let me just quickly add this lever to make this work. There we go. Alright, so there we go. We now can activate the generator. It's almost like we did this earlier in the video. So it's plonk-a-doodle down here. Dolly would appear over there. And Evan, what is it with you not making things consistent? Right, so then you would crouch down there. You would go down here. Dolly would go on there, but we would have to be very careful by going in between these and crouching so Dolly doesn't hear us. Don't sprint like this because she will kill you. Would then crouch through here. She'll be peeking through this window. We would have to crouch down our way. Obviously don't uncrouch, but I'm not sitting there for that long. Go down here, there's the elevator. She would smash through that door right there. Would go over here, press that button. Oh my god, fence. And then Dolly would come through and we have to wait for the elevator. So we can now go through here, and of course I've made the elevator at the top, and we have like the repair function thingy with bamboo and a black doorway, and oof. So here's the elevator at the top, because I just think the top floor looks better than the bottom floor, because that's how it is in MCM once you beat the Dolly part. So yeah, the elevator does actually clip very tall, and it would clip through the warehouse and the roof of MCM. It would clip through right here if you had it loaded in. So that's why it looks fairly not as long as it should. And there would be a bunch of doorways, but I just added this one to like its imaginary floor. If you want to add one to the map when I release it, sure, I do not give a crap. And back to Dolly model your model circle. Now, I've been leaning into showing you how I make my models more often, so here we are. You have an Evan Test World League, holy moly. I have blacked off the models that I don't want you seeing, like the Tiger Rock one right here. The Tiger Rock one, I have started a Sharpay that I didn't finish, the M2 R&D, and here's Sleepy Moon from the last episode's thumbnail. Well, you can go down here and see the ones that I have made. I haven't showed this one off, but I don't care. And then here's Dolly, Big Top and Jackie. So here's the exact models that I used. I just copied them. Now this was the Jackie that I made literally an hour after my first playthrough was done. And you look so ugly. So ugly. Why do you use so much and you're so ugly? And this Broken Jackie, the one I made from like back in September, I think I don't remember. And this is all of my Secret of the Mimic Command stuff. This was maybe a couple weeks ago after episode 3. Now, this was the day before release when they released that screenshot, and this was when I made the trailer, when they released the trailer for the game, and I didn't have much to work with, so I was just testing out. Here are all my models. You can see Mixes, Moon, Sun, back from my Security Breach episodes, where I have Chica, Ruin, and all that. You do have some unfinished models here that I will do later in my time. Golden Freddy, Eclipse, Dumb Mimic, and then if you can guess who this model is, I bet you could, but I'm not going to tell you, because I like being annoying. And as you can see, like, these models take about 40 minutes to make. They take a lot to... Why? So I use this repeating command block technique, and I'll show you why. So say here's Nurse Dolly, and I want to teleport her. Instead of needing to teleport all of her arm sense to this green screen to remove the background for like the thumbnail, I would just teleport the base armor stand, which is called Dolly 1. And then do those coordinates, and then all of these repeating command blocks will connect all the armor stands, so I only have to teleport one, and the rest will follow in the exact same position, which is just such a time saver. I honestly think you should be doing, you can teleport it back, and it was like it never left. Did it? No evidence. And I just think you really should do stuff like this, because it just helps so much, especially with big armor stands like Big Top here. All the arms, it would be so annoying to rotate and all that. Over here, I do have my magenta. This is for my skin, so I'll like stand here, go on F1, if I get rid of that right position. Oh my god. And why am I wearing netherite pants? No. So then I would just get a screenshot of my skin for the thumbnails, and screenshot it, press F1, get the screenshot, then remove the background. So yeah, that's roughly how I make thumbnails and my models. And secret model, Jackie is backy. So yeah, these are all my models for Secret of the Mimic, and you'll see all of them later. And with that is going to bring us to the end of Secret of the Mimic Part 6. I hope you enjoyed, because I sure loved building the Doll Hospital. It was just such a great experience, and I hope you all enjoyed it. See you in the next episode of Building Secret of the Mimic in Minecraft, Secret of the Mimic Part 7, Building the Basements, Sleepy Moon, and Tiger Rock. I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye!